everybody. First of all, I apologize for being late. Normally it takes less than an hour, but it took over 2.5 hours to get there. So this is just LA traffic, I guess. And I want to thank Brother Omar and the Rancho Masjid for having us here. Another thing I want to do is that before we start the presentation, that I'll go through it fairly quickly, about 15 minutes or so. And if you can hold your questions, inshallah, we'll open up for the Q&A right after the presentation. And we will be here as long as it takes to answer your questions, inshallah. So we'll do that. And at the end, we have something to raffle. It's Alexa. I'm sure you have heard of that. It runs with Alexa. It's a software. It's Echo by Amazon. Do we have it here? Or?
I left it right in the car.
Okay. Well, it's in the car, but it will be here, inshallah. So we'll go through and we'll have the forms filled out. So all of you, if you can do that, and we will raffle from there. And if you can fill in at least your name, phone number, and email address. And if you need any more information, then you can just check the boxes in there. Our realtor partner could not be here due to his appointments. But we have our insurance partner here, Abida Molai, with Allstate Insurance. So we partner with them to try to provide, all the services that you'll need when you buy the house. So she is here, and if you have any questions about insurance, she will be here to answer that, inshallah. With that, I'll start. We are Guidance Residential. We are the #1 Islamic finance company in North America. There are about 4 other finance companies. We do more business than all of them combined. Alhamdulillah. We started back in 2002, and we just celebrated our 15th anniversary. And we started from 3 states, and now, alhamdulillah, we are in 30 states, and more to come. And just to give you the extent of the business that we do, next year, when we get to about close to $1 billion, we will be the 70th largest mortgage company in the country, period. Not just Islamic finance company. So this is a big, achievement for us, alhamdulillah. And this is the setup, our parent company Guidance, Capital Guidance, and then we are one of the companies, the Guidance Financial Group. You can see that. To the left is the Guidance Residential, that's who we are. And then we have the Housing Finance International, Guidance Investments, and the Guidance Realty Homes that coming soon to California, that we will be opening several offices here. So that service will be available as well. We are in 27 countries now. Our chairman, Dr. Hamor, he's an MIT graduate. He has an office in Paris, France, and he runs the whole operation from there. But we are in 27 countries, and we have 77 offices, and we are opening more offices all over. And we are recognized, as you can see, these the dark yellow states, these are the states that we have opened up in. And we are working on licensing to open up in more states. Recognized by all these, the domestic and international media, the CNNs and USA Today's and Al Jazeera and all that. And you can see that we started back in 2002 with 3 states. Now we have gone, alhamdulillah, we have done over $5 billion in the Islamic financing here in North America, about over 10,000. The market share 73%, which has grown now, it's close to 80%. Recognized by the International Sharia Board, Our Sharia board is it's actually an independent Sharia board, consists of 7 renowned scholars. Their specialty is Islamic financing, and led by Sheikh Taqi Usmani of Pakistan. There are scholars from Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Indonesia, and scholar Yusuf Talal from America, amongst those 7 scholars that we have. We recently, AMJA, I'm not sure if you have heard of that. That's the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America. They are based in Southwest, mainly in the Houston area, and it consists of many scholars. And they recently came out with a ruling in 2014, and they studied everybody's contract, including guidance, and they found guidance to be the only contract is sound, and you can use it when there is a need. And there are other competitors either that you can use it in only dire need, which means their definition of dire need is that you have exhausted all the options, including renting a place. And there are a couple of them that simply said that it's not permissible to even use them. And then the pure play, we were originally funded by our parent company. I mentioned Dr. Omar. This is a family from Syria, and they worth some about $3 billion, and they funded Guidance Residential with some $80 million, and that's how we started. So, and anything we do, unless it's approved by the Sharia board, we do not will put it in place that. So we strictly go by. Am I blocking your view? Are you able to see it? Okay. So it's strictly Sharia compliant. We would not do anything unless it's approved by the independent Sharia board. And here's the Sharia board. I mentioned Sheikh Taqi Usmani from Pakistan. Then we have Sheikh Yusuf Talal Di Lorenzo, and then Yaqubi from Bahrain, and then Sheikh Al-Gharwi from Saudi Arabia, and then Sheikh Goda from Syria, and then we have Imran Usmani, which is the brother of Sheikh Taqi Usmani, I believe, or son. I believe he's a brother. He's a son, right. And then we have a Sheikh from Malaysia. I apologize, I mentioned Indonesia, but he's from Malaysia. So this is the consist of these scholars that are aboard. And by the way, Sheikh Taqi Usmani is not only the chairman of this Sharia board, he's also the chairman of the board of IOFI, which is the organization out of Bahrain. And there are like about 47 or 48 countries, Muslim countries, they are members of that IOFI organization, and they will follow their guidelines whenever they are developing any Sharia compliant product. And he's the chairman of that board as well. What is riba? The whole fuss is about that you can't make money on money. That's riba, right? The only one way you can give a loan in Islam is qadha hasna, right? So if you give me $10,000 and you collect $1 on top of that, that's riba. That's not allowed, right? And the money, really has no intrinsic value. It's just a means of trade. But in the Western economy, they have made it as a commodity. So the money is bought and sold, right? And then there's a good reason why you will see the quote from Quran, Surah Baqarah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not allow it, because what it does is it creates an artificial wealth. And you see in these economies every 5, 7, 10 years, there is a financial meltdown, because when the wealth is created artificially, then it gets to the point where just everything collapses. And this is what happened. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows it better, of course. And in Quran, it says clearly, you deal with riba, you are declaring the war against me and my prophet. So it's good enough for me not to deal with it. And it's not only Islam, actually all the Abrahamic religions forbid using riba. But, unfortunately, that the people have made it, part of the business, and, they say it's okay. So you can see that all those signs there, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they all forbid to deal with riba. And here's a quote from Quran. I'll just read it. And remember that when Prophet, peace be upon him, he was a trader. He did the trade, right? And who did he deal with? Majority of the people were Jews, right? And as long as he did his part, it didn't matter, he was selling it to them. But at that time, the Jews are the people question it. Hey, what is the difference between, riba and the trade? But this is the verse from Holy Quran, that God has made commerce lawful and has forbidden interest, right? So this is, and then you will see a couple of quotes from the other books as well. Right here from Exodus and Leviticus, there are quotes there as well from Judaism and Christianity, their books as well. So all the religions, does not allow to use the riba in your transactions. Not only the religions, John Adams, one of our presidents, and his quote right up there, that you can conquer a nation two ways, either by sword or by interest. And this is really, unfortunately, is going on, that all those IMFs and World Banks and all that, see what's going on is they're giving the loans, and there are countries, the poor countries, they are not even able to pay the interest. He keeps accumulating, right? So this is how they have really conquered those countries. They tell them what to do. And these are the Western, the nations. It's created by the Western nations, those IMFs and all that. And then the two other presidents, Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin said, I'd rather go to bed, suffer less than rise in debt. So these are the quotes from them as well, and there is a good reason why there are quotes there. What is permissible? Loan without a profit. That's a charity, right? The qaza hasna. You give me $10,000, you get $10,000 back. Your reward is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? But you can't take more money and because it's not permissible. It's that, trade is allowed and buy and sell, that is allowed. We buy the commodities and we add a profit to it and we sell it, right? That we do it every day, that's okay. But giving somebody a loan and taking money back from them, that is not permissible. So as I mentioned, all the fuss is about making money on money. That's not allowed. Now, methods of Islamic financing. Subhanallah, our religion is so beautiful. It was like 1400 years ago, but this still applies today to us. And there are three ways. One is murabaha, basically purchase and resell. So I buy this table for $100 and I sell it for $110, right? That's my purchase and I resell, so I made a profit. That's one way of doing that. The second one is ijara, lease to own. Like a lot of scholars will say, oh, go and lease a car, that's okay. But you finance it with interest, that's not okay, right? So that is the second model. The third model is musharaka. The musharaka means a partnership, okay? And musharaka has two branches of it. One is a shirkatul milk, that's asset ownership, and the more commonly known is shirkatul aqd, which is a business venture, and that's what we commonly know, right? Like two of us buy a gas station, put $50,000 each, and any profits and any losses we split two ways, right? That's a pretty simple musharaka there, that's the business venture. The second one is the asset ownership, and that is our model. So what we do is we go in and buy this asset with you, right? So that's the asset ownership. And this is where it makes a difference, that the entire thing, you must be wondering, and you will have questions that, hey, what's the difference? You call it differently, right? But this is where it makes a difference there, where our contract is a declining balance co-ownership agreement, and everything is spelled out, and that's what makes a whole difference here. You will see that it works pretty much the similar way as the conventional loan, accomplishes pretty much a similar results, but it's done in the right way. There's a right way of doing the things, and there's a wrong way of doing the things. So that is our model, asset ownership. And that's, again, I jumped ahead a little bit. So, but here's, yeah, go ahead, you can go to the next one. So you can see that the Sharia compliant, the counter declining balance, and the conventional mortgage, you see the end result that you become 100% owner of that property, right? You go through different phases. But the second one is basically the bank is giving you a loan. When you come to us, we don't give you a loan. We go and buy the property with you, right? And this is how it works. So, over a period of time, you are making a payment monthly. Part of it is that you can call the utility fee, because you are utilizing our portion of the property as well, right? And so you're paying that, and then at the same time, you are paying more to acquire our shares over a period of time. And the end result is you become 100% owner of the property. Okay. And I already explained that how it works. I guess I'm jumping ahead, Junaid, so maybe you can go to the next slide here. And just to give you an example, that say $100,000, and at the profit rate of 3.125, and that's the 15-year contract. That means you're going to buy our share out over 15 years. And you start with the payment the first month. You can see that total payment is $696.61. The acquisition fee, that's to buying our share, is $436, and then the profit or the utility fee that you pay us is $260, and you can see that it keeps changing. This amount keeps going up, and this amount keeps going down, because as we go forward, you are owning more shares, therefore you're paying us less. So this is just one example that, at $100,000, which, we really don't have those contracts, but I think this was a countrywide. Benefits of Musharaka, it is approved by the Sharia board. Non-recourse commitment, what happens is in California, when you go to the bank and get a loan, and if you default on that, and California is one of the states, it's a non-recourse state, but as soon as you refinance that loan, that becomes a recourse loan. So you remember in 2008, where a lot of people, they walked away from their properties, right? It happened to a lot of people in Florida and New York, and they walk away, and the mortgage company lost $50,000, $100,000, and they were getting notices after 5 years saying, hey, pay up. We gave you this much loan, and we lost $50,000, so you owe us that, right? But Sharia does not allow it, because it's a co-ownership, and the co-ownership is tied to the one property. When the property is not there, the Sharia does not allow us to go after any of your other assets, unlike the bank will do, right? So that's what it means, a non-recourse contract, that we don't have any recourse against any of your other assets. If you're default, you're not making the payment, and we lose our equity in the property, okay? And then the second one, the third one is there is no prepayment penalty. You go in, you come in with 20% or 10%, and a couple of months later, your rich uncle gives you a few $100,000. You want to just become 100% owner of that property. You just pay us, our share in there, and then you become 100% owner. We're not going to penalize you. The loans are set that way. Not all of them are like that, but many of them have the prepayment penalty, that if you pay off before certain time because they have not made enough interest off of you, they will penalize you. You pay, a few $1,000s, I guess, or whatever that is. Okay. And the shared risk. Now, whenever have you heard that the bank will share in the loss? And there is a natural disaster, right? There is an earthquake. We are in California, and there is a loss, a big loss. Bank of America will never share that with you, right? They say, hey, we loan you $400,000, so you owe us $400,000. But the beauty of this contract is when there is a loss like that, because there cannot be any gain, we will share in that loss with you. So that's another good feature. And the capped late fee, what happens, you forget to make a payment, you're late one day, the normal bank will slap you with 5% interest, 5% penalty, right? If you don't pay that, they will start charging you interest on it, and that gets compounded. We don't deal with the interest business anyways. However, when we call you, we have a department will call you to remind you that you're late, right? And we incur that cost also because we have people. So the Sharia board says that, okay, it's fine if it costs you $20, you're entitled to that because the brother was late, you are calling him and you're incurring that cost. But the maximum is $50. That's the maximum we can charge you. We cannot slap you with 5%, that's $250 and then, start compounding interest on that. Okay. So what is next? We are here, and with that, what I will do is I will open up for the Q&A, we'll go ahead and afterwards, Junaid, you have that, the forms?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to maybe the brothers can go ahead and I understand that we were late and we don't want to take too much of your time. While we are going through the Q&A, you can fill out this form and we will put it in a raffle, and at the end we will raffle that Echo by Amazon, inshallah, and see who will win it. So I'll open up with that, that for the Q&A. The brother has a question. Mm-hmm.
How do you come up with the percentage in relationship to the profit?
Okay, good question. So what we do is we benchmark our profit rate against.
What is benchmark?
Well, benchmark is if the banks are charging you 4% interest, we are in the similar business, right? So we don't want to, charge you 6% profit. So we will benchmark that. So we'll use 4%. So we want to make, that means we want to make 4% profit on our investment in the property, right? So the difference is the bank is making, again, the bank makes the same amount of money if the 4%, interest or 4% profit, but they're making, again, the fuss is about it making money on money. So they are making money on money, but we are making our profit from investing that into that property. Okay, because we, this is how we do. So we will benchmark against that. The market is 5%. There were times that the market was only at 3%, right? So this is how we do charge a figure. No, it's a fixed. You can have the fixed rate contract, a 30-year, 15 years, 20 years. That's fine. Sure.
So, for example, let's say that interest rate is $100,000 if you buy a property.
Right.
So after 15 years, would I be paying $100,000 back, or I would be ending up paying more than $100,000?
More than 100,000. If you go back, I will. Jeanette, you want to go back to the slide where it shows a table? It's right here. Okay. So you can see that the profit you will pay is $25,000 on that $100,000 in 15 years at the profit rate of 3.125, which is not available these days. I think the 15-year is about 3.5% or so.
The second part of the question is this.
Mm-hmm.
So the value of your money depreciates over here, we are not doing compound interest. We are like, okay, we'll get 4%, we are doing upfront, even if you end up, if you don't pay at that time or whatever, your money, you will not pay us more than this much. So we are being upfront with that,
Right.
right?
I don't quite get the
Banks
question.
do the compound interest.
Right.
So if you don't pay something, they will charge you 5%. Again, if you don't pay, they will charge you
Right.
5% on top.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't do it.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, we don't, yeah. So there, if, when we call you to remind you, we can charge you that, the cost that we incur up to maximum $50. So it's not going to be like, say if you have a mortgage payment of $3,000, for example, right? So 5% of that will be $150. So you don't pay, they'll add the interest, and then the next month they'll, charge the interest on that late pay fee and then the interest. So that's how compounding does. Yeah, no, we don't do that. Right. Mm-hmm.
So I guess I have a question. Let's say, I purchased a house through you guys.
Huh?
Let's say $200,000.
Right.
So down the road, build equity. Let's say it becomes $300,000 property.
Right.
So what happens if I want to sell it? Do you get a part of the share? Or
Very good question. Okay. So here's how it works. It's all spelled out in the declining balance co-ownership agreement. What we do is that due to the market conditions, that any gains and any profits, any gains and any loss are yours. Okay, we give both to you, right? In that, when I mentioned the natural disaster, what happens? Is there any gain? No, right? So there's only loss. So we must share in that with you, right? Now, when there is a gain, it could be a gain and a loss, we could have that agreement that you could have both. If we share in the gain, we must share in the loss as well, right? And we can have that as long as we both are sane and nobody's putting a gun to nobody's head, we can have the agreement. So by that agreement, we give you both that. So it's in there that we will do, the way it works is, say the property that you bought for $200,000, right? And you put in $20,000 in there, and we came in with our $180,000, right? Now the property value after 5 years is $300,000, and you want to sell it. It works seamless in the same escrow. There are two transactions that are happening. First, you're buying us out, and then you're selling to the third party. And by that agreement that we will use the purchase price for our transaction, the $200,000. So we had $180,000, now you're paying, part of it is you're paying the acquisition, right? It depends that how much you have paid. So let's say you have paid another $25,000 in 5 years. So now our share has gone down from 180 to about 155 or 145, whatever that comes out to be, right? So you will pay us, and then you will sell the property to the third party for $300,000. So you will have your $20,000 plus the gain of $100,000 plus the $25,000 you paid us in 5 years. Exactly. So you will get $155,000. At the other end, if there is, what happens if the market declines, right? So the property value goes down to $150,000. Now you want to come out of this, you say, hey, no, I don't want to be in it. And we have paid you $25,000, right? So the property sells for $150,000. In that case, you will lose your equity first, and then we will lose our equity. So you have $45,000 in it. You came in with $20,000. He paid us another $25,000. So the loss is $50,000. So $45,000 will be your loss, and $5,000 will be our loss. Unlike the bank, we will not go after you for that $5,000 loss, because our co-ownership is limited to that one property. When the property is not there, we're pretty much done. That's how it works.
You guys is kind of win-win, right? You guys are not losing money.
No, but I mean, when there is a gain, you're getting the $100,000. You're not sharing that with us, right? Are you happy with that?
No, you don't want to.
I mean, we could have that agreement that any gains and any losses, we could share that with you. Just like the first, the business venture model of Musharaka, right? That we split both ways. But this is a little different. This is done a little differently, right? Okay, sister has a question there. Walaikum salam. Right. So how we calculate that? Okay. So total monthly payment comes out to be $696.61. And it remains fixed, as you can see that all through that 15 years. But this portion changes and this portion changes. Because as you make the payment, first of all, the way we come up with this payment is we use an amortization calculator because there is no Islamic calculator. By the way, a lot of people don't know that amortization calculator was invented by a Muslim. Okay, a lot of people don't know that. And what does it do? A lot of brothers, they'll say, hey, you're using the same calculator, so how is it kosher? But what does the amortization calculator do? It basically, it calculates, it's a mechanized way of figuring out that at what, what point that what percentage of ownership you have and what percentage of ownership we have, right? That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. So if you want to sit down and do it manually, that you'll be pulling your hair, right? So I'll come to your question that, so we do amortize that and we come up with this payment. And if it was a 30-year contract, then the payment will be lower because we are spreading it over 30 years, right? And so as you make the payment remains fixed, but the portions, the acquisition changes and the profit changes because as you make the first payment, you're gaining more shares in the property, right? So next month you owe us less money because our ownership has declined. So it keeps declining. And then at the end of this, in this example, 15 years, that our ownership goes to zero and you become the 100% owner of that property. Yeah, your profit rate will be different. It depends on your credit score. And let me tell you that I mentioned earlier. Oh, fine. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, so I'll try to do quickly, and then we will be here after the we can continue after Adhan. Okay, it's 5 minutes. We'll call the Adhan. You have heard of? How many people have heard of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae? Okay, what do you think the function of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae is? What is?
Control the secondary market. The fund.
Okay, what do they do in secondary market?
They buy all the loans.
Buy the loans. What do you think, sister? You raise your hand right there. Somebody raised a hand there. No? And what do you think, brother, what the function is? Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Yeah. Okay. So Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, and I'm going to come to your question because it's important to understand that why we do certain things. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, they are chartered by Congress to provide the liquidity in the market and encourage the home ownership, right? In America, the percentage of the homeowners are highest in the world. And what is the reason? Because the government is pumping in money. They keep printing dollars, and then they pump in the market, right? Somebody started this Sharia-compliant financing in Canada, and they shut down in a few months because they ran out of money. So nobody can have unlimited amount of money, right? Except the US government, who has this printing machine that keep printing dollars. So we were funded, as I mentioned earlier, by our parent company with some, I don't know exact numbers, but about some $50 or $80 million. So when you come to us, we do a contract with you, and our agreement with, what they do is they buy loans, as the brother said, from the banks. And they are not allowed to loan the money. That's by law. They cannot loan you money. They buy the loans, right? So we have a unique relationship with them. Before we started 15 years ago, 3 years prior to that, during the research and development process, that we approached them. And it took us that long and several $1 million, and the Sharia board and 18 law firms in the country, and they agree. We have a special relationship that they will invest into our co-ownership with you in that property. So we close the deal with our money. And by the way, we have an agreement, the Sharia compliant agreement that you sign with us. They can't change a single word in it. They cannot do that. At the other end, we agree to comply with their guidelines. And their guidelines, like your credit scores, your debt to income ratios, and what amount of the down payment you need. It's all theirs, right? So this is how it works. That we close the contract with our money, and then we make sure that we have complied with their guidelines, and then the file goes to them, and they will invest into the co-ownership in there. But we will remain on the face of it, for the remainder of the contract. Again, repeat your question one more time for me, please. Well, that is, I'm not sure when it was used. And so, like I said, today's market, let's say 15 years, 3.5%, you need excellent credit score like 760 or so, right? So if your score is only 600, because you consider a higher risk, and this is again, and that's why I was using that, I explained what our agreement with Freddie Mac is, and this is their guideline, is that if somebody comes in as a higher risk, then we want to make a higher profit because there's a higher probability of getting into default and all that, right? So that, and I don't know when it was used, by the way. Any other question? I take one more question before we go for the adhan, and then we do it afterwards.
Whether I do loans, and always they ask me about Islamic loans. What can we offer them other than the guidelines for Freddie Mac, and we know the guidelines. Is there any special guidelines for guidance?
Basically, it's the same. The Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae guidelines, and we have some of our overlays on top of that. Very, a couple of them. So.
And who serviced the loan?
We had another company that was servicing our contracts, but they were not doing a good job, so we hired U.S. Bank, their servicing department, to service. So they are servicing our account. You write the check to Guidance, you mail it to them, and they disperse the funds. So for us, it's not cost effective to create an entire servicing department, because compared to these giant banks, we are still kind of smaller player, and so we do is we give that servicing part to somebody to take care of that. But they have, when you call the number, it's a dedicated group of people that they service our contract. They will, you will not even know that we're calling. It's Guidance Residential, and they will take care of you. So they service our accounts, right?
What's your turnover a year?
Turnover?
Yeah, how much you?
Oh, how much we do? Alhamdulillah, this year we have so far done over 500 million, and the next year the goals are much larger than that, inshallah. Yeah. So we are growing again, as I mentioned, and just to tell you, I started the West region back in end of 2011, and in 2013 we did about $32 million in West region, and Texas was part of the West region at that time. Now we have California, Oregon, and Washington, and our next year's budget for West region is about $180 million. So alhamdulillah, we have grown many folds, and it's still growing. Right. So do we go for the adhan, and then we'll continue?
Yeah, I think the break is on the.
Okay. All right. So we'll wait. Oh, after prayer? Okay. So we'll continue after Isha prayers, inshallah. Okay. we'll continue after Isha prayers.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين، إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. عما يتساءلون، عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون. كلا سيعلمون، ثم كلا سيعلمون. ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا بينكم سباتا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا. إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا، يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا. إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا. إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين، إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا. رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنظرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله
so it's off. Oh, it's on now. One brother is still praying. Did everybody put in the raffle to fill out this form? We will be raffling it. Yeah, and we also have some refreshments out there, some sandwiches, and the samosas. So if you like, you can help yourself, inshallah, on your way out. And we have, as I mentioned earlier, that our partner in insurance, and she has some information for all of you, so she's going to go ahead and hand out the information. And then we'll have, our brother Omar is, hi, you want to do the raffle? Look at that smile. Yeah, she's going like one. Allah is one, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you are related to any of the guidance employee, you're not eligible for this raffle. So, and you need to be over the age of 18 or over. So if you're under 18 and this little girl doesn't qualify, she's all excited here though. And so with that, I guess, is anybody has any other questions for us? I think we kind of rush. If you have any questions, I can answer that, or I'm here afterwards. So with that, what we'll do is, sure.
So you mentioned Fannie Mae.
Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, yeah.
Right, yeah. So are you guys still working with them?
We still, oh yeah, that's, yeah. We are, they invest into our co-ownership, yeah, that's where our fundings come, right? Because again, as I said that, 50, 70, $80 million, alhamdulillah, we are approaching $100 million a month, so if we start keeping it all, in-house, we will run out of the funds and we have to shut down, right? Whereas the banks also, when they do 9 out of 10 contracts, they sell in the secondary market, which consists of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, right? So they keep a lot of things in-house because they have tons of depositors' money, right? Just to give you an idea, these large banks, Bank of America and Chase and all that, they're sitting on $500 billion of depositors' money, each one of them, right? So they're required to keep 5% of that in reserve. So it's $25 billion now, $475 billion, they can do whatever they want, right? And subhanAllah, they have all this money, but it's their liability because they're paying interest on it, right? So they need to, use that. So, so this is what they do is they will go to, if it does not fit into that mold, the guidelines of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, they portfolio it, meaning they keep it in-house. So a lot of it, they do it, they keep it in-house because, and they are able to because they have like hundreds of billions of dollars, right? So yeah, so we have approached a lot of Muslim countries, the banks and all that, for them to come and invest into our Sharia compliant contract, but they don't want to do it because the profit is so low, right? In their countries, like for example, Saudi Arabia, Guidance is the one who helped them set up their company, the largest company in Saudi Arabia. So they do it there because they earn like 10, 12% return on it, right? So they don't want to invest their money here, they earn 4 or 5% and then to deal with all these regulations and all that. So that's why we have to go. We would love to have some, we were dealing, working with the Moroccan bank, but nothing came out of it. Again, the return is not attractive for them. So yeah, that's why we do, deal with them.
What was the impact on 2008, 2009?
Very good question. Freddie Mac said that it was their statement, and they love our portfolio. Our default ratio was half of the industry. Subhanallah, you know, so we, and this is what we strictly deal with our Muslim community. And, you know, what we don't do is we kind of leveraging. This is what happens, right? So you leverage, you know, you put as little as possible and you borrow as much as possible, right? And then prior to 2008, and I used to joke with people, I say, if you have a pulse, go to the bank, they give you $500,000. Somebody was telling me the other day, is gardener, you know how much money gardener who comes and mows your lawn? I have a gardener, I pay him $100 a month. He comes once a week, right? He got a loan for $750,000 from the bank. Can you imagine? You know, so this is what was going on. That was due to happen what happened, you know, the meltdown. So we don't do that. We don't do leveraging and all that. And again, as I mentioned, that the interest business and leverage, it creates the artificial wealth. And at some point, it can carry so much weight and then it just collapses. And that's why you see the meltdowns. Yeah. Guidance? Well, you know, guidance portfolio, as I said, that the default ratio was half of the industry default ratio. Yeah, there were some, you know, people genuinely, they lost their work, right? And so they could not afford to, so they just simply had to walk away from it. So they were, yeah. And we worked with a lot of people that, you know, they had, I heard, as long as, like, I was not with the company at that time, you know, as long as 12 months or longer to work with them. And then finally, you know, they had to sell the property because they couldn't afford to continue paying. Yeah, we have to, we must, you know, and it's not only for Muslim. And we have some non-Muslim clients, a lot of non-Muslim realtors, they refer us business, and they say, you know, because of your friendlier features of your product, which is sharing in the loss, right? And capped payments, no prepayment penalties. So they call it the friendlier features of our product. So yeah, they do refer us business actually.
So like when you said that U.S. bank, we did go through them to help or whatever, you know.
They service our accounts, yeah.
So
Mhm.
when we sign contract, we sign with your name on the contract?
Yes.
Sign or not U.S. bank?
No. U.S. Bank is not even involved at that point when we are doing the contract. It's that you do it with us. Once we close the deal, then it goes to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. So they are merely just service provider. That's all they're doing. They're providing a service. See, a lot of times you will see also if you have your loan with a certain mortgage company, but you know you will get the statement from some other company because what they're doing is they're servicing their loans. So the similar way, U.S. Bank is servicing our contract. And some people think that, oh, because it's U.S. Bank, there's something wrong there. But they're just simply servicing. They're receiving the payments and dispersing the funds on our behalf. That's what or if you have a question, you call. They will answer as Guidance Residential, but they're part of that, you know, they have a huge, you know, you can imagine those banks are so big. But the portion of that is dedicated to our contracts, and that's how they service. Huh. Yes, you need the minimum 5% down payment, but there is another program, it's called Home Possible. It's based on the zip code you live in, what income you have. You could go as low as 3% down payment, yes. Mm-hmm. Right. So any other questions, or we'll just go ahead and do the raffle here and see who the winner is. Not too many. Do I want to do it, or?
Maybe have a neutral party do it, so we don't get an ambush.
Who wants to do it?
Well, let's do the sister do it.
Okay, come and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Remember, you need to be here, and this is a sister. And this is my favorite name. Both my grandmothers had that name. Fatima Sheikh. Oh, mashallah. This is not your daughter's name, right? Well, you want to come in? Yeah, baby is there. So, was your husband here? Or?
Yeah, he's outside.
He's outside?
Yeah,
Okay, we like to take a photo. I don't know if you want a photo taking this, or your husband
I'll
wants.
let him take it. He's more photogenic. Yeah.
Oh. You want to take one? Sure. There is a variable product also, yeah. So what is that form you want to?
I'm not getting to it. But I know there's a big Sharia board out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still wondering about the fixed part of it. Predetermined, it's like you may call profit or interest or whatever.
Right.
And this is a question that people ask.
Right.
Now, how do you defend this?
Well, I mean, we determine. Okay, here's. I'll give you an example. Is it a brother here?
Yeah.
Okay, come on over. Can we just hand this one? Today you want it? Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I want to make sure that I gave it to somebody. I didn't keep it, right? So there you go. Now I got the proof. So I mean, here's the thing that I know it's structured differently. But when we say, and a lot of people have a problem with when you say percent, we want to make 4% profit, you know. But the Sharia board says, and I say also, that there is no difference if we are making 4% or $400. It's the same thing, right? Just to give you an example, if you were to buy a house, it's $500,000, right? And a year later you sell it for $550,000. So how much money did you make? 50,000, right? So what is the percentage of that? What percentage did you make? It's 10%, right? So you can say, I made 10% profit, or I made $50,000. There is no difference with that, right? So, so this is what that you making that profit. It's just the variable, the adjustable. You were in mortgage business, so it adjusts every year. There are some rules, right? I don't know if I'm sure not everybody, but some of you know that what happens is that it's designed for the people that whose income is not enough to qualify. So you start with lower, but then there are caps, annual cap, and then the lifetime cap, right? And so it adjusts after a year. So if the margin and index, you add those two things up, it's more than what you started with, then you're right. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for coming. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum. So your rate will adjust, will go up if it's higher, but it cannot go up more than 1%, right? So if you started with, let's say, 3%, and after 1 year, the index and margin, there are different indexes and all that. We don't deal with those things, so I really don't know much about it. But if it's 5%, then your rate will not go up to 5%. It can only go 1%, so it'll be 4%, right? Then again, after 12 months, then it will adjust again. Then it can go up again 1%, the maximum. And there are lifetime caps is like usually 5%. So if you started with 3%, your rate can never go more than 8% because there is a lifetime cap on it, right? And it works both ways. On if it goes lower, after a year it cannot go less than 2%, right? So So yeah, it just stays, the profit stays the same. It does not fluctuates over a period of time. That's what it is. But that's a good question. I will try to get more explanation for that.
I need to know that calculation of that.
Right.
We are
Right.
doing a good job. It's just that to be sure.
Right. Okay. Okay. No, that's a good question, and I will get more explanation. And I can. Here, I'll give you my card here, and
I have to do as well.
yeah.
Great.
And
just asking to get some investment details as well, if you have it.
investment as
Yeah.
to.
Investment in guidance. if
Oh,
you-
in guidance. Okay.
details.
Okay.
Inshallah, I'll send.
Sure. Okay.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Assalamu
Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Okay. Jazakallah. Thank you for
providing
coming.
us the alternate way. Although, this is okay,
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you, Jazakallah.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is, it's here, and like as Sheikh Taqi Usmani said, that, hey, I'm putting my signature on it, so put yourself in my shoe, and he's the scholar, I mean, Mufti Taqi Usmani, and I said, that's good enough for me, inshallah. Okay, thank you for coming by. Did we give you our contact information, so let us know?
I took that card.
Okay, very good, that's Junaid's number there. Okay, Jazakallah, thank you. And there is some refreshment on your way out if you like something. Any brothers have any other questions? Okay, sure.
Explain at what level you require 5% and what level you require 3%.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jazakallah. Bye bye. Look at her, she's so happy.
You said it's your grandma's name? Fatima?
Yeah, Fatma is my both grandmas, they passed away now, but they both were Fatmas. Yeah, mashallah. All right, you're welcome. So, what situation you need 5%? So, if you have, Jazakallah, thank you, brother. Coming, okay, all right. So, it based on if you have excellent credit, you can go with the lower. So, if your credit score is lower, they may, ask you to put a little more down payment. So, they want you to have more, sharing the risk in it. So that's how it works. But if you're, and then also based on your income also, that you have to have income to qualify, of course, right? So, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
What you just mentioned score. What's the score?
The credit score?
Yeah, I mean, what's a good score to get?
Good score, 760 and above is excellent score. So if you have 800 score, you have 760 is the same thing.
3% down?
At 3% down, there is another requirement also that it based on the zip code you live in, and also your income. So it's for the low income people, and they are in certain zip codes.
Okay, like I think is 9170 Ontario.
Yeah, that we have to go in the Freddie Mac system, because there are thousands and thousands of zip codes, right, all over the country. But even in California, imagine how many zip codes there. So,
Why different?
because they said, I guess they are low income areas, and so that's why they
Cheaper houses?
maybe cheaper houses. Yeah, that's right. So there are some counties, for example, San Bernardino and Riverside County. The maximum contract limit is 453,000. That's how much we can do. But LA County and Orange County, we can go up to 679,000. So that is also a rule set by Freddie Mac. It's their guidelines, right? So we have to follow their guideline. So that's how it is, yeah. And each county has different limit throughout the country, actually, not only in California, right? So we can check that. Actually, Junaid can, if you give Junaid a call, or Junaid can give you a call, and he can run that information. What's your name, brother?
Julius.
Julius. Okay. So you have you put your name and number in the raffle.
Yeah.
Okay. So Julius would like to know if it will qualify that zip code for 3% down payment.
You can get my name out of the thing, so
Yeah.
something done?
Yeah. No, we will take these things, and yeah. Yeah. Now we'll keep that, inshallah, and we will, in addition to thanking you here, we will again call and thank you for attending this, and then if you have any other questions at that time, that we can answer that, of course. Okay. Okay, brother.
Through musharaka mean sharing the gain or loss, but you mentioned the different contract form.
I didn't. I'm sorry. Okay, repeat again. That we.
Through musharaka meaning you are sharing the gain or loss.
Yeah. So there is no set rule. That's what the Sharia board says, that you either share in both, or you cannot. You don't want to share in any. One brother can have the both. That's fine. You don't have to share. So, but if you take the gain, then you take the loss also, right? So we are not sharing in gain when the market value goes up. The same token that we are not sharing in the loss. But if the loss is more higher than what your equity in it, then we take the loss, right?
So you have different form of contract.
No, it's one contract we have, but it's all spelled out in there. But if it's not agreeable to you, then
from the beginning you mentioned this.
yeah, it's in the contract, of course. Yeah. And if it's not agreeable to you, then of course you don't have to do that, right? So it's in there, and this is how. Like for example, a lot of people ask us, "Hey, you are co-owners, but how come you're not paying for the property tax and property insurance, right?" So this is again in our contract that we ask you, and there is a good reason also. What does the property taxes do, right? It pays for the maintaining the streets and the parks and schools and all that. And who's benefiting from it? You are living in the house, right? So therefore we ask you to do it. You don't have to agree to it, but this is what we like to do. And then also insurance also. That my background is also extensive in insurance business, like 30-some years. That insurance has, many things in it, right? The homeowner's insurance will cover the structure for fire and vandalism and wind damage and all. In addition to that, there are liability built into it, right? Which we don't require you to, have that, because liability, if somebody gets hurt, they sue you that you're responsible for it. There are personal property coverage, which we don't care about, right? If somebody steals it. So that the portion that we require you to have, it's very little part of that total premium. So it's practically impossible to separate that and share that. So we say, okay, you're gonna pay that, right? And so, but at the other end, we create a separate LLC for each transaction, right? So there is an ongoing maintenance fee. So we pay half, and we ask you to pay half. So we share in that. So, but everything is in black and white, of course. It's right there, before you sign it.
So can we get the form of the contract?
Yeah, we can do that, yeah. We can mail you. What's your name, brother? Ravan, and you had your, okay. So we need to send brother the contract.
How do you spell it?
Andravi. Okay. Okay. Any other questions, brother?
What's the current interest rate now?
Current profit rate or the market rate is about 30 years is ranging from 4.25% to 4.5%, and 30 years about 15 years is about 3.5 to 3.75, something like that, around there. It depending on what your credit score is and what your down payment and all that. So they're based on that.
How much would be the loan amount?
The contract, the finance amount. What county are you in? Ontario is a city, which is San Bernardino. Yeah, so maximum you can go up to $453,000 contract amount. Yeah. It's a good question. Yeah. Do you have a house in Ontario?
Yeah.
And you have conventional loan on it?
Yes, conventional loan, but looking for refinance.
Sharia compliant? Okay. So what rate do you have right now?
I don't remember exactly. I have adjustable is somewhere over
over 4 and it's adjustable, that means it can go up, right? So this may be a good time for you, not only that you can just get it fixed, it will not go up, and that will be a Sharia compliant contract also. So, you know, a lot of brothers, when they call me, they ask me about this, so I ask them, I say, what is your rate, right? And then my second question is, are you only doing it for the rate? And then I go from there, that even though we can match that rate, it may not be a good thing for you because there's a closing cost and all that, right? But by the way, we are running our special right now, the 15-year anniversary special, that we will waive all the closing cost and we will pay all the third-party closing costs, so you don't have to pay any of that closing cost right now, which is, you know, it's good through December 31st. You start the application, and but you need to close that by February 15th. So you still have some time. You can start the application before December 31st, and you will be able to, you know, take advantage of that special right now. So you don't pay any closing costs, which could be about between $3,000 to $3,500. So we'll waive all that for you. So. You start with lower, but then it keeps adjusting every year. As I was explaining earlier, that if, you know, the rate keeps going up and the margin and index, at the end of the 12-month cycle, they will add those two, and if it's higher than the previous years, then they will increase your rate, right? But some people benefited when the rates went down. It used to be higher, right? And then the rates went down, and they benefited from their rate went lower, actually. So it works both ways. But, you know, right now, historically, we have lower rates, so what are the chances it's going to continue going down?
So better to fix it.
Yeah, so better to fix it. So, you know, at least you know that this is what you have, right? How long have you had that, the mortgage for, if I may ask? 2 years? Yeah, so, so chances are that it will go up. Actually, Federal Reserve just announced this week that they are raising 0.25%, you know, the rate. So that means it's going to affect everybody, right? So market rate goes up, and this is what we, right? So, and then they're saying the way the things are going that the next year they might, but you never know. They were talking about it. They're saying that they may raise it again 2 to 3 times, especially when the new appointed, the chairman, which Trump has picked. The people are putting their bets on it that, you know, it's going to go up. So, but then again, who knows, right? So it's better to have the fix it, yeah.
The option to repay the whole money is available in every contract?
Repay?
Yes. If we,
Oh, the existing loan if you have?
yes.
Yeah, so we will do is we will say if you have your property worth $500,000, right, and you have $250,000 loan, so we come in with our $250,000 and pay that one, and we become 50% co-owner in that property with you, right?
Yes, yes.
So
My question is, I want to pay the whole money. If I get, or yeah, take 15 years contract. After 5 years, I am ready to pay the whole.
Pay the whole thing?
Yes.
You can pay it any time. There is no prepayment penalty. Yeah, you can pay it in 6 months, 1 year, that's fine. Yeah, you can do that. There is no problem with that. Yeah. Okay. So brother, did you put in your name in the raffle? Oh, you didn't? Okay. So, but you have Junaid's number if you want to get some information, or you want him to give you a call and you can give him your contact information. Yeah, inshallah, yeah. Yeah, if you have over 4% rate, it's probably, you know, a good thing that you want to get the fixed rate, and this way it will not fluctuate. Because all the variable that, as I mentioned, that they have 5% or more lifetime cap. So if you started with 3%, it has a potential of going to 8%. So what your payment is right now, it could actually literally double, right? So that could happen. So this will by getting the fixed rate, you'll prevent that.
Is there a maximum price for the house?
Well, not for the house, for the contract amount. So, for example, in LA County, right? Well, I just did this brother in San Diego County. He just called me 2 days ago. He bought a house in 2014. So he's selling that and he's buying another one. So he's going to buy $1.2 million house, right? The San Diego, the maximum we can go is $650,000. So yeah, so he's going to come in with $550,000 of cash. So you can buy a $2 million house, $650 we can come up with, and the rest you will come up with, right? That's how it works. Yeah. So price of the house doesn't matter. How much we can? Yeah. Right. Exactly. So he's getting some money from selling his house, about probably $350,000, $400,000 he will get, and then he'll put in another $150,000 out of his pocket, and that's how he'll do it.
What is the minimum that you get involved?
Minimum, we can go as low as $80,000, $70,000. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
For the first time buyer, what do you recommend? They should buy with a fixed rate or adjusted rate?
Right now, the way it's all Freddie Mac, they said the market rate. Right now, it's amazing that the variable rates are higher than the fixed rates. So there is no reason for you to even look into variable rates. So it doesn't make sense. Thank you, brother. No problem. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum. All right. So yeah, it doesn't matter. You're first-time buyer, you can go with a fixed rate. And right now, it does not make the banks. They are giving their loans from their depositors' money, right? And they are charging lower to start with, the adjustable. So it can help you with the qualifying, right? So if adjustable rate start at 3.5% and the fixed rate is 4%, so it will be easier for you to qualify with the lower rate, because your debt will be lower, right? So, but there is no set rule that you go with the adjustable or the fixed rate.
Do you also help with the FHA?
No, our Sharia compliant agreement is not approved by FHA. It's only Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Yeah. So therefore we cannot go to they have not approved that. We have been working with them. And our thing is that what our contract that you sign with us, they cannot change a single word, right? So that's our deal. Say, fine, we will comply with your guidelines, but you cannot change anything. And they say, oh, change this and change that, unless Sharia board says, okay, that's fine, we will not do it. We strictly comply with the Sharia board says. Right.
All over the country or just
We are in 30 states now. We started with 3, but we are in 30 states, and we are opening up more areas as the need. But each state has their requirements, right? So we have to meet all those, and so a lot goes in it before we can start doing business in some state. Each state has different laws, right? But we are here in California, of course. Yeah. Yeah. The whole California, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, Texas, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Chicago, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, all those states that we do, yeah, that, and Colorado is coming on board soon, yeah. It's gonna be.
some person has very good credit and he doesn't have the fixed good source of income.
You need both. You need the credit and then also income to qualify, yeah. If you don't have documented income, then, we will ask you for the 2 years tax return, and you need to show the income on that tax return, yeah.
So but the point was that he does have the 2 years in job, 2 years continuous job history.
Mm-hmm.
But in the future he does not know by himself what's going to happen.
Well, that doesn't matter, yeah. The future, nobody knows, right? Yeah, so, I mean, it's a very good question, and anything could happen. It happened to me. I had a customer that was about 2 years ago. we were going into closing, and his closing got delayed by 1 day, right? And the next day he calls me and he said, "Oh, Aziz, I can't go through it." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I got a pink slip from my company. I'm losing my job." So we had to pull everything, you know. So there is no, but if he signed that a day before, it was a done deal. 1 day. It's just by 1 day, you know. It was just, something had to happen, right? From up there, there's something delayed. I don't remember exactly what delayed it 1 day, but this is what happened, that he got a notice from his company that they are laying him off.
Is there any like time duration that you cannot make the payment, you still eligible for sales support?
Yeah, it's again the Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae guidelines. So if you don't pay 3 months, they can start the process of, the selling your property and all that, yeah. So, but we have, in certain cases, we have worked for a few more months, and so it's a case-by-case situation there. Right? Uh-huh. Yeah, we will do our best to either match or beat their rates. Yeah, but see, what happens is the banks or the wholesale money lenders, they have, like the banks, when you deposit your money, how much interest they pay you? 0.5% if you're lucky, right? So if the market is 4%, and when they have too much money sitting there, they literally, what they're doing, they're selling the money, right? So it's costing them money, so they say, okay, well, we're going to put it on sale, the money, we're going to charge you 3.75%, right? So if the market rate is 4%, that's the best rate available, we're not able to match that because they are keeping it in-house, right? Or the wholesale money lenders, what happens is a lot of these large life insurance companies, when you pay the premium, this is, the people are not dying every day, right? So they have tons of money. So what they do is they invest into real estate, and also they will go to the wholesale money lender and say, hey, we give you $500 million at 2.5%, you have 6 months. If you don't loan out in 6 months, we're going to charge you 3.5%, going back to the first dollar, right? So what happens, they get into 5th month, and they still have a couple of $100 million sitting, and then they say, okay, we, instead of 4%, we'll give it to you at 3.5%, right? So they're still making 1% profit, but if they don't get rid of their money, they have to pay 3.5% on the entire $500 million. So that's why they will put the money on sale. They can do it. We cannot do that. Right? We are not a bank, and we are not a wholesale money lender.
Do you also offer like any investment plan if somebody wants to invest with you guys?
No, we are not an investment company. No. So that's it would be Amana Mutual Fund. They do those things, halal investments. Right. Mm-hmm.
Your sub-branch or separate from you?
No, that's a separate company. Yeah, we have nothing to do with them, but that's what they do.
In which field they invest?
That I don't know. They have different their mutual funds, and they will invest into the halal the companies. If somebody is selling, what is it?
They just try to stick with halal industry.
Halal industry, right? If somebody like Anheuser-Busch, they're making alcohol, they will not invest into that, of course. Yeah. So they all halal, companies that they will have a mutual fund, and right, is that how they do it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, very good. Again, I thank you very much for coming out, and let us know, and call us. We have the cards here, and you got. So just give us a call, inshallah. Okay. All right. Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Good questions. Okay. क्या नाम है आपका? मोहम्मद अकील। अच्छा, एक हमारे दोस्त भी मोहम्मद अकील।